Well, hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Rewilded Wellness Podcast. I hope everyone has been savoring the transition from Taurus season into Gemini season and this amazing month of May that we've been having. I always love May so much. I've been spending so much time outside, raining now, but still getting out there. Um, I create a workstation this time of year so I can work outside more. I try to eat all my meals outside. And while the garden, which is kind of new to me this year, I haven't had a full garden in a very long time. And it's still doing its magic to produce the spring veggies for me. So I've been spending a lot of time foraging to supplement my diet with all the amazing wild greens that are available right now. And I really have such a passion for the wild greens. I truly believe that they're just like a missing piece for our collective health conundrum we're all in. We traded the wild greens loaded with amazing nutrients, including B vitamins and folate. And we traded that for, vitamin B enriched processed foods, right? Particularly the wrong forms, that is. And we really stopped eating our nutrition and medicine a long time ago. So today I wanted to weave in some of the things that I'm very passionate about lately around one plant in particular, which is mugwort. And it has so much value to it. Um, and it covers a lot of bases, or the basics really too, of challenge that I've personally had in my life. And just things that the supplement industry can't really replicate, right? And things that, I want to weave into this conversation today, just to start to show you all the magic of the wild greens and the plants, and how they connect to a lot of our current health conundrums. Now, for nearly 3 years, I've been developing a relationship with mugwort. It's a plant that's become deeply meaningful and special to me. I initially encountered it as just, a medicinal herb, you know, but it's really evolved into something more profound. And now that spring is fully fleshed in here, right? Mugwort is growing lush again. So I've been incorporating it into my kitchen as a culinary herb because there's just so much of it. Um, but the cool thing about it is, even just being able to use it more intentionally to clear stuck energy or stagnancy when needed. So I'll get into that a little bit. So here we are. It's Gemini season. I find it beautifully synchronistic to be discussing mugwort, which is a plant that embodies Gemini's mercurial dual nature. Like the twins of Gemini, mugwort actually bridges worlds. It can connect our conscious and dreaming minds. It can integrate physical and energetic healing and facilitate communication between body systems. So just as Gemini excels at making connections and moving freely between these different realms, mugwort kind of specializes in clearing blocked pathways and restoring flow. So it seems like a really good plant ally for a season that invites us to integrate seemingly opposite aspects of ourselves and enhance our capacity for communication on all levels. So what fascinates me most is just realizing that many of our modern health challenges might never have become issues if we hadn't strayed so far from our ancestral foodways, right? So today's episode is just a personal exploration into my world of plant medicine, specifically how rewilding our diet with plants like mugwort might be able to cross over into addressing everything from genetic SNPs to microbiome health, from vagus nerve function to detoxification pathways. So let's go ahead and dive in. I feel like mugwort has this multi-dimensional profile. I was first introduced to mugwort 3 years ago during a spring foraging tour, And each year since, I've learned to work with it just a little bit more deeply. And my personal preference as a practitioner for my own health and with my clients is to work primarily with nature's ways, right? With the sun, the light, the soil, the food, the wild plants, the herbs, right? Like to just create this backdrop, this foundation, to create a base to build our health upon. So, even though, I'm a functional nutritional therapy practitioner and I do use supplements, right? I have been this whole entire time. Um, I'm beginning to make correlations and connections where I just see the extreme limitations. And so I'm here to shed light on a more rewilded wellness, right? Filling in the gaps of our nutrition, helping us return to things that do not make us dependent on a million supplements. Okay. So mugwort, which is also Artemisia vulgaris, to me exemplifies why working with whole plants transcends the limitations of isolated supplements. Okay. So it's a common plant. We could call it a weed. It's like everywhere. It's very prolific. Once you learn to identify it and know where it grows, you will see it all over the place. And it offers a symphony of healing properties. Okay. The first one is that it is a bitter stimulant, right? So we know that bitters are in plants and they activate digestive secretions from salivation through enzyme production to bile flow. So as soon as the bitter taste of the plant hits the receptors on our tongue, magic happens. Okay. It's also a nervine, which can help to calm and regulate the nervous system function. And it's particularly valuable after trauma. So this one's a big one because everyone's dealing with some level of challenge around how do we help our nervous systems these days, right? It's also a really cool energy mover. An herbalist, Pam Montgomery, I just started reading one of her books. She talks about how mugwort excels at clearing blockages in our energetic systems. Now, beyond these core properties, it really offers an impressive range of therapeutic benefits. So let's start with the ladies. The women's health support. Mugwort can help to balance hormones through gentle endocrine regulation. It can act as an antispasmodic for menstrual cramps, and it can help normalize excessive menstrual bleeding. Now, here's one that I wish I knew long ago because my first son was breech. So ladies, if you're pregnant or having babies, you need to look into this one deeper. But traditionally, mugwort was used to turn breech babies when it was used as a smoke. So I find that really cool. So definitely, look into that one. Get more info before you just run out and do it. Then again, digestive restoration, right? So it can be very healing and restorative for the intestinal tissues. It can actually address both constipation and diarrhea because it really is just helping to normalize function. It has that carminative action, so it can help to relieve gas and bloating. And it has been traditionally a remedy used for intestinal parasites. So you don't have to do some separate parasite cleanse when you get into the herbal world because all these plants that we are missing using consistently seasonally have that stuff built in, right? And because it helps our digestion work right, it sets us up in the first place to not be susceptible, right? Then it can provide a little bit of a gentle laxative, especially if you are using it a little bit more so for the use of seasonal cleansing or parasites or whatnot. It can also help with bile secretion, which can also do those things. And that also helps us, to support our liver as well. and detoxification. So it's really cool that it has a lot of these properties that really seem full spectrum. Um, then circulatory benefits, it can enhance blood oxygenation and circulation, improve blood cell generation. It's even possible to reduce the risk of blood clots. It can help with hypertension as well. Now, and if you think about it, if it can help with blood oxygenation and circulation, that makes sense in how it's helping with the blood pressure as well, right? So then respiratory support, this is one that I wish I knew about when I was in middle school, because that's when I had asthmatic bronchitis appear in my life. It relaxes the bronchial tubes and opens airways. It can be really effective as a steam inhalation for bronchial inflammation, which is what I always had when I was a kid. So, basically all you do is you get some of the herb and you put it in a bowl with boiling water, and you put a towel over your head, and you just kind of hover over the steam for a while and just let yourself breathe it in, and it gets into your lungs and starts to do its magic in there. So it has antispasmodic properties, which really helps with, people who have asthma and this bronchial inflammation that I'm talking about. Uh, Nervous system regulation, big time going on. Everyone's talking about it. The beauty of mugwort is it's really can calm you without sedating you, which is super cool. It's like another Zen kind of feeling, which is super cool. Now, there are uses of it that are more for some more serious conditions, such as convulsions or seizures. It has some traditional use to reduce seizure severity and increase the time between episodes. So if that's you or someone you love, definitely look into that and find someone who knows how to use this properly. Skin healing. Okay, so I just got poison ivy again, second time this year, but this time it was a teeny, teeny, teeny bit, because I definitely learned my lesson the first time. So what's cool, there's a lot of plants that can help us with rashes and stuff like that, but mugwort is one of them. And all you have to do is, pulse either a mortar and pestle or a food processor or something like that, and pulverize it a bit so it's like a paste, and just smear the paste on the affected skin, right? So poison ivy, it actually can reduce scarring as well. So if you have some scars, like maybe you got poison ivy and you have scabs. I had some stuff on my foot from the poison ivy scabs that took a little while. Anyways, oh my word. So it can accelerate skin healing. You have to actually be willing to do it, and apply it consistently. So it is one of those things where you have to be really committed to doing it, because it's not like a product you can just buy and smear it. You have to make it. But once you make it, you can put it in the fridge and have a bunch for a while and just use it that way. It's also really awesome for sleep and dream work. So it can actually help regulate sleep. It can help get to the root causes of insomnia. It has that sedative effect that I mentioned, but it's not so sedating. So, like let's say you want to use it in the evening, it can calm you, but it's not going to like knock you out. So by calming your system, that's a really big deal. I think people realize, like, just mellowing you out, right? Like calming your nervous system, is huge for helping you sleep. And then it really does help enhance dream recall and vividness. So it's cool because mugwort can be used in a bunch of ways. You can eat the mugwort fresh, or you can chop it up and cook it. I mostly chop it up and put it in cooked meals and such. I don't really eat very much of it raw. You can make a simple tea, very easy. You could tincture it. And then you could mix it with other plants once you're more familiar, and make, herbal combinations and such. And it's even been used in baths, right? So it can be used as a smoke. It can be used as a smudging option. It can be used as a steam. So there's a lot of ways you can use mugwort. You could even just dry it and leave it near your bed, or maybe make a little dream pillow. Some people like that a lot. And just being near the plant can support you in that way. It also has antimicrobial properties, and it's particularly valuable in addressing common problematic bacteria like E. coli, streptococcus, staphylococcus, because it has those natural antibacterial compounds. However, it's got supportive action for the microbiome without the side effects that antibiotics have. So that's what's beautiful. And so to me, what makes mugwort exceptional is how these properties interrelate, right? It's got the bitter principles, it stimulates digestion, while its nervine qualities ensure proper vagal tone for the gut-brain connection. And this just creates a really beautiful, holistic, rather than fragmented approach to healing, which is what I love so much. And this is why, to me, plants surpass supplements, and why I keep talking about them. And I've covered as many as I can in different episodes. But, modern health approaches are reaching for the isolated, manufactured, oftentimes synthetic supplements. Again, there are some supplements that are really good and good quality, and we may need them. And so many that are not good and good quality, right? But the thing is, whole plants, such as mugwort, operate very differently than a supplement, okay? They have synergistic compounds. So mugwort, for example, contains hundreds of bioactive chemicals working in concert, right? Whereas a supplement might say, hey, we're going to study this one compound in mugwort because it's good for ABC, PDQ, all the things. And we're going to isolate it and put it in a pill and sell it to you, right? Because we've studied it and we believe it does all these great things. However, it's oftentimes just one compound. Maybe it's a couple. And so it's taken out of its full context, right? This is what I want to relay. Even minerals, the same is true. Like, we can buy a single mineral in a pill and take it by itself. That's not how nature is, right? So to me, it's important to remember we're doing our best when we're supplementing like that, but like the long game, in my opinion, should be to return to this beautiful way of having synergistic compounds as nature intended. So here's some of the chemicals in mugwort. Thujone. This is what contributes to its nervous system effects and antimicrobial properties. Cineol, which is eucalyptol, and that's the part that supports the respiratory function and has anti-inflammatory effects. Camphor, which is what can help provide pain relieving and circulatory stimulating properties. Artemisinin compounds, which are also going to deliver powerful antimicrobial effects. Flavonoids like quercetin and rutin. These offer us antioxidant production and vascular support. And then sesquiterpene lactones, they contribute to the bitter profile and the digestive benefits. Coumarins are what support healthy blood circulation. Polyacetylines, which provide immune modulating effects. And then volatile oils like pinene and terpineol. I'm not sure I'm saying that right. These actually enhance the absorption of other compounds. That's just skimming the surface, right, of some of the ones that we know and are better studied, right? And the other thing, too, about plants is they have this adaptogenic intelligence, right? Now, mugwort's not classified as like a true adaptogenic herb, which I'm sure you've heard about adaptogenic herbs, right? Like ashwagandha or rhodiola. Mugwort exhibits these remarkable bidirectional effects, right? So you can calm an overactive digestive system while stimulating an underactive one, right? So this offers both the energizing and calming properties depending on what the body needs. And this is a form of plant intelligence that isolated supplements simply cannot replicate. Um, then the sensory medicine that comes with mugwort, right? The taste. When you taste that bitterness, it initiates healing cascades before it even reaches your stomach, right? When bitter compounds contact your taste receptors on your tongue, they trigger an immediate neurological response that stimulates digestive secretions, it primes the vagus nerve, and it activates the enteric nervous system, demonstrating how this sensory experience itself is an essential part of the medicine. Okay, a supplement can't do that. You're putting a pill in your mouth. It's not touching your tongue and your taste receptor, right? This is why when we do bitters, if we're doing them in food, great. If we're doing them in a bitter tincture, great. You gotta taste it on your tongue. That is part of the medicine. It's a beautiful thing. And then they're always going to have bioavailability enhancers, right? Because plants contain compounds that help your body utilize their medical constituents, right? So mugwort's volatile oils like the terpenes and the terpenoids, they actually increase absorption by enhancing membrane permeability, while its bitter compounds boost circulation to the digestive organs, ensuring that its own medicinal components are more effectively delivered to tissues that need them most. Bada bing, bada boom. How cool is that? Tell me that's not amazing. Then it has a balanced action, right? So there's natural buffers that prevent any side effects common with isolated compounds, right? This is the big problem to me about the supplement world is like we're taking too much of isolated anything, and it doesn't work like that. It wants to work in concert, in synergy, in relationship with all these other things. So mugwort contains polyphenols, flavonoids that moderate the effects of its more potent compounds like the thujone. And then it does have some fiber content, right? Because it's a plant. So that's going to slow the absorption rate, especially if you're eating it, right? Right, if you're cooking with it. Right. So then that way, with all these properties, you're creating a gentler, more balanced therapeutic action that reduces any likelihood of any side effects that could occur, especially when we're talking about extracted or synthesized single compounds, right? And sometimes what that could be, someone could herx a little, right? Maybe they have some liver stress, um, you know, processing it, right? It could affect their hormones a little bit, maybe. So, you know, I just find that like people can be very sensitive these days to higher amounts of any individual anything, which I don't tend to give if I can help it. Um, so this is the beauty of the plant world, right? And, I think that the industry has conditioned us to think in terms of single compounds, in terms of higher doses, in terms of addressing single issues. But the beauty of a plant like mugwort is here to remind us that health emerges from balanced, harmonious biological systems rather than biochemical band-aids. Now, another thing that I'm super into is constitutional personalization and seasonality, right? So, unlike standardized supplements, in the modern supplement world and nutrition and all that, traditional healing systems recognize that plants affect different people differently, right? So the concept of constitutional types originates from like ancient medical systems like Ayurveda, traditional Chinese medicine, which recognize that each person has a unique metabolic and energetic makeup that responds differently to herbs, foods, and environmental factors. So you can think of your constitution as your fundamental energetic blueprint, if you will, because it influences everything from your digestion and metabolism to your emotional tendencies and stress responses. While everyone has aspects of all the constitutions, most of us have one or two dominant patterns that guide how we should approach herbal medicine and even our nutrition. Right? You could call it medical astrology as well. So I'm just going to give you like a little taste of this in this episode because I want you to have some context. And this is how I've been starting to work more with my longer term clients, is incorporating this piece. So for cold, stagnant types or kapha or earth, these individuals tend toward cooler body temperature, slower metabolism. They might experience congestion, water retention, sluggish digestion, and they often have solid, stable energy, but they can become lethargic. So mugwort is ideal as a primary bitter and used liberally. Its warming energy helps counteract coldness and stagnation, and a person in this pattern can handle a decent dose without, overstimulation. Now, it is best used as like a tea or in a warmed up preparation, such as like, you're going to chop the fresh herb and cook with it. Or maybe you're going to make some ghee, like flavored ghee. Have you guys ever had the flavored ghees where they're, made with different herbs and such? I think that's a beautiful thing to do in the winter especially, but like you can do it any time of year. But anyway, so tea or cooking with it, making sure there's a healthy fat with it. For hot excess types or pitta fire types, these individuals run warm, they have strong digestion that can become overactive, and they may experience inflammation, acid reflux, irritability. They typically have strong energy, thus that fire, right? But they can burn out really quickly. So if you don't stoke the fire properly, it will burn out, right? So you want to be a little more moderate with the mugwort use in this type. And it's really great when you can combine it with some cooling herbs. So like mint or lemon balm. Now I am earth and fire. So I am vata, what am I? A pitta, a kapha pitta, something like that. I don't know if it's pitta first or kapha first. I'll have to get back to you guys on that one. But I have a lot of earth and fire in my chart. So I kind of need to be in between these two. And I made a beautiful tea the other day with mint and lemon balm because that's growing right now too. And it was a wonderful infusion and it was great. So if you aren't sure what you are, it's always best to just take the plant in a balanced way, and not go overboard on it until you know a little bit more about this kind of stuff. But, the whole point is like you don't want to overstimulate yourself at the wrong time. So for the hot excess types, the pitta fire types, it is better used as room temperature infusions or in a cooling preparation. So you could make the infusion tea and then you can drink it room temperature or cold if you'd like. Then for the deficient types, vata air. These people can have a variable body temperature. They can tend towards dryness. They often experience some sensitivity in their nervous system and some digestive irregularity. Their energy comes in bursts, but can deplete quickly also. So for them, mugwort pairs really well with more nourishing herbs like oat straw, one of my favorites. You guys have heard me talk about, and it's in my magnesium guide for you, how to make that infusion. So adding mugwort to that could be a nice option for some of you if you want to give that a try. You always want to use it with healthy fats, so that it doesn't dry you out more. So if you're cooking with it, for example, if you're collecting it as an herb, a fresh herb to use, just cook it with healthy fats. We should always be cooking with healthy fats anyways. And then just don't overdo it. Like, you don't need to go ham on it and have like occasional large doses of it. It could just be a nice little small consistent amendment to your diet, or it could be used in something like golden milk. If you like to do honey infusions, it could be wonderful in that. Stuff like that. Anyways, there's obviously a whole lot more we could go into about this piece, but I wanted to just bring it in here. If you enjoy this kind of aspect of herbal medicine, I certainly do, because it's never going to be one size fits all. It's going to be very personalized. And the longer you hang out in the health realms and the nutrition realms and you move towards nature, you're going to realize this, and you're going to want to know this stuff so that you can have strategies to work with plants effectively for you for the rest of your life. Now, another thing that I think is really cool, and to me, there's like this missing link in methylation and genetic conversations. When we discuss genetic variants like MTHFR mutations that affect our methylation, the conversation typically jumps straight to synthetic supplements, right? Yet the most profound insight to me is that these genetic variants that we all have became a problem largely when we lost our connection to the wild plants, compounded by, the processed food industry and all the junk they put in and all the bad forms of nutrients they put into things, as well as this modern toxin epidemic that we're in. Now, I personally have the MTHFR C677T heterozygous genetic SNP, meaning I have one copy of the variant, which reduces my ability to convert folate into its active form, methylfolate, by about 30 to 40%. Now, this affects everything from neurotransmitter production to detoxification capacity and cardiovascular health. Okay, to me, Mugwort beautifully demonstrates how plants offer solutions beyond simple supplemental nutrient replacement, right? Because it's just one plant that does this, but it provides not just folate, but it also enhances our nervous system function. It supports our liver detoxification pathways. It improves circulation. It addresses the very systems challenged by methylation issues. This shows us that it's not just about getting a microgram amount of a nutrient and then, okay, we're good. We got it, right? We have to be able to receive and utilize it effectively. And Mugwort demonstrates its capacity to help our system function better on multiple levels simultaneously. Other plants do this too. I'm just talking about this one today. So this is something, in my opinion, that isolated vitamin supplements can never emulate. So what if we started filling our diets with such diversity seasonally, both through wild and cultivated plants, that we didn't need to rely so heavily on the supplement industry? I mean, what if? That would be so cool, right? I think so. Now, there's another layer to this story, which is our gut microbiome. So there's a gut folate connection. I'm going to keep going with this MTHFR folate combo for a second. Now, ancestrally, we would have consumed way more folate-rich plants, right? Now, those folate-rich plants also nourished a diverse gut microbiome, which would be capable of synthesizing folate internally. So, beneficial bacteria, particularly the bifidobacteria, are known to produce folate within the colon. So, these microbes thrive on specific prebiotic fibers found abundantly in wild and unprocessed foods. So, here's a few. So, there's some key prebiotic fibers that help feed the bifidobacteria. We like inulin, or bifido likes inulin and fructooligosaccharides, which is FOS for short. So this is found in a number of foods. Probably the top of the list would be chicory root, garlic, onions, leeks, asparagus, dandelion, sunchokes. And it's probably in a lot more things in smaller amounts that we just don't talk about it enough. Then there's galacto-oligosaccharides, which are in a lot of legumes. Um, and it's also what's present in breast milk. So we should have gotten this as babies. And then xylo-oligosaccharides, which is derived from the xylin fraction in plant fibers. I'm still learning about that one. I don't know a ton about this yet. But the point is, when we consume a diet rich in prebiotic fibers, the more diverse, the better, we not only support our gut health, but we're also enhancing our body's natural folate production. Okay? Because our microbes help us make certain nutrients. Our microbes help us make many B vitamins and a decent amount that we need for function. So this really creates a synergistic effect when we think about it like this. Okay? I think there's some crucial aspects missing from the methylation discussions, and I'm just going to leave it with the wild folate abundance. There are so many amazing plants that have substantially more folate than modern vegetables, often 3 to 8 times more than the cultivated vegetables we're all used to. So like lamb's quarters, which is the goosefoot, wild spinach. It has a couple different names. You've probably seen it. It volunteers like crazy. I have a ton of it in my garden. Dandelion, chickweed, mugwort. Okay, those are just a few. So get yourself familiar with those. I love all of them. They're all wonderful, and they're pretty easy to recognize that they're in my locale, and so you just kind of gotta let them be and let them flourish, and then consume them. The other thing would be the diverse folate forms, right? So a plant is going to provide multiple natural folate forms, not just the single methylfolate form found in supplements, right? And then it's going to have the cofactor richness, right? Like, so the plants deliver not just the folate, but the entire spectrum of nutrients, B vitamins, minerals that also help support our methylation pathways. So our ancestral consumption patterns would have been different, where we would have been consuming a significant amount of folate daily from diverse wild greens, which should easily support the genetic variants that we have, right? So if we can get back to more of that and eat it in our food, it's going to serve us a lot better than singling it out and putting it in a pill. Now, I know some people will need to do that for a time, but if you think preventatively and long term, rewilded wellness is really going to cover so many bases. So when we understand this context, we can realize the problem isn't just our genes, it's that we've removed ourselves from nature, right? We've removed the plants, we've removed the diversity that actually helps support the genetic variant function to be harmonious, right, in our bodies. So I think rewilding our diet really addresses the root evolutionary mismatch. Okay, now I've talked about the vagus nerve. Everyone's talking about the vagus nerve. I also want to talk about spinal energy and like the digestive health connection really quick here. Okay, so what I want to start with is misalignments in the cervical spine and how it can impact your vagus nerve, such as people who have had concussions or head injuries and whatnot. I myself have had multiple head injuries and concussions in my lifetime, unfortunately. I don't know. I'm an Aries moon. It could be something to do with that Aries energy because it rules the head and it's like act first, think later. Now, I didn't know the connection between all of my head injuries and the vagus nerve and the gut until the last handful of years that I've been studying the microbiome, and we've had so many trainings. And one of them was the gut-brain connection post-concussion. So this is very fascinating to me because it's part of my healing journey, and I'm sure many of you can relate. It's one of my intake questions now is like asking people if they've had head injuries, head traumas and such. Whether it's diagnosed or not, it doesn't matter. It's part of your health story. So recently I've been reading a book called Plant Spirit Healing by Pam Montgomery, and she wrote a section on mugwort, and it just goes so deep. And I wanted to share just a little part of it. One of mugwort's most fascinating applications is what Pam calls the all-in-one treatment, addressing energy blockages at the critical junction between the skull and the spine. And this has some profound implications, right? So we've got the vagal tone optimization piece, right? Because your vagus nerve, it passes through this exact region. And proper energy flow here supports optimal vagal function, which we know, is incredibly important for the digestive cascade, right? We have to have good vagal tone to have proper digestive secretions, gut motility, nutrient absorption. And then, of course, the nervous system won't recover without it, right? So if you've had a bunch of concussions or cervical injuries and your cervical spine is constantly out, right? Like maybe you go to the chiropractor and like C1, C2, C3 or whatever is like always out, and you should be finding out, by the way, when you go to the chiropractor, you got to know which of your vertebrae are the ones that tend to be out. Make sure you know this stuff. This tells you a lot. Helps you know what's going on in your body. But anyways, if anyone has that historical pattern, mugwort can really help to clear energy blocks here, and just restore proper nervous system function. And then we know that the vagus nerve serves as the primary communication channel between the gut microbes and the brain. So this helps explain why traditional healers observed mugwort's simultaneous effects on digestion, mood, energy flow, right? These systems are inherently connected through the vagus nerve and the central spinal channel. So I thought that was really cool, and I wanted to bring it up today. The last thing I want to talk about is rewilding our relationship with plants, right? So the ultimate invitation here from mugwort and any other wild plant that I've talked about is to rewild, not just our diets, but our entire relationship with the plant kingdom, right? It goes beyond consumption, right? It's like we want to see plants beyond them just being a food or a medicine, to recognize them as intelligent allies, right? They are here for us. Okay. And then seasonally speaking, right? Like we can attune every season and allow our bodies to synchronize with nature's rhythms through seasonal plant relationships. And then the other beautiful thing is the place-based medicine, where we're building relationships with plants that grow in our specific bioregion, which are adapted to our local conditions and are going to have things within them, built into them, that will impact us because of that, which is also super cool, which you can't get in a supplement that's being made in one state or country and shipped all over the world, right? Like you're missing that super fine, nuanced medicine. And then there's a reciprocity, right, with this. We understand that as we heal our relationship with the plants, we're simultaneously healing both our bodies and the earth. And then that sensory reawakening, right? We're reclaiming our ability to taste bitterness, because why? Almost all of us have not been taught from a young child to taste the bitter. It's just been lost for all of us. So we really need to reclaim it. That can also help us distinguish, plant qualities. It helps us respond to nature's sensory signals. There's so much going on when we start to reconnect our taste buds to the plants that we're consuming. So The health challenges that we face today, from methylation issues to digestive disorders, from nervous system dysregulation to detoxification difficulties, they aren't simply genetic bad luck or inevitable consequences of modern life. They represent disconnection from the plant allies that supported human health for millennia. Mugwort stands out as like a powerful example of how one common plant can address multiple dimensions of this disconnection, right? Again, really quick. Its bitter principles support digestive function, compromised by all the processed foods, right? Its nervine qualities calm our nervous systems that are overtaxed by chronic stress. Its ability to clear energy blockages helps release trauma patterns held in the body. Its folate and nutrient content helps support methylation pathways challenged by genetic variants. And its connection to dreams helps us access deeper wisdom, often drowned out by the modern world and digital noise. So, when we bring mugwort and similar wild plants back into our lives, not as supplements, but as relationships, we aren't simply adding nutrients, we're restoring ancient conversations between human physiology and plant intelligence that evolved over thousands of generations, right? This rewilding approach offers something way more profound than symptom management. It offers the possibility of remembering what health feels like when we're fully connected to the natural world, when our bodies receive the signals, information, and nourishment they evolved expecting. So I just invite you to begin or deepen your own relationship with mugwort or whatever wild plants grow near you that you're feeling called to. Just start slowly with respect and attention. Just notice how your body responds, how your dreams maybe shift, how your digestion maybe changes, right? Not so you can add like another supplement to your regimen, just so you can remember what it means to be a human animal in relationship with the plant kingdom. All right, cool. Well, I wanted to just share some final thoughts. You know, when I first encountered mugwort 3 years ago, I had no idea how deeply this relationship would transform my understanding of health. What began as curiosity about an herb has evolved into a really profound appreciation for how wild plants hold keys to our most perplexing modern health challenges. And this integrated approach that I walked you through today in some these layers that we went through forms the foundation of how I work with my clients in my Rewilded Wellness program, right? We're going to examine whole system function through my two core tests, the HTMA and the biome effects, to really see what's going on. And then we layer in these astrological insights to understand constitutional tendencies, making sure we're matching herbs, not just to symptoms, but to the person at their current life phase, and then weave in the genetic SNP information to create truly personalized protocols that account for unique metabolic needs, right? So the ultimate personalized path here. Rewilded wellness is fundamentally about returning to nature's wisdom through all these interconnected layers. So using all these diverse data points to help people rebuild their health as nature intended is really awesome, especially amidst all our modern challenges. So the beauty is seeing how traditional wisdom and modern science can complement each other when we maintain nature's patterns as our central organizing principle. We're going to continue to unravel the complex interactions between our genes, our microbiome, our nervous system, our environment, right? Like we're still all learning a lot about this. But I think the most revolutionary act is also the simplest, right? It's just relearning how to incorporate the wild plants that grow around us into our daily lives. Not as like a cure-all, exotic supplement, whatever, but as these familiar allies that have supported us since time immemorial, right? So I appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining me, for tuning in, for listening to this, deep dive into one plant that covers all these bases. I really enjoy putting it together for you to kind of touch on the broader implications for rewilding our approach to health. So if you know anyone who would also enjoy this episode, please share it with them. I'd love to hear about your experiences with bitter herbs and wild plants. If you care to share with me, you can DM me on social media. You can email me, lydiajoyme@gmail.com. But until next time, I hope you keep discovering the healing potential of all the wild plants growing right outside your front door. Stay wild and well, my friends.